Congratulations on the win. In your end of season address, you apologised to the fans as you said you would yesterday. You also said we have to stick together. Clearly, before the game, there were protests. Is that what you mean, or what do you mean by?
No, it's everything. It's hard to point one thing. It's not. Is in difficult moments. Sometimes we blame each other as a club, as a family. It's normal, but we need to stick together, and we will be okay. That's all.
Pete.
Hi Ruben. After this season, you acknowledge of so many lowers. What have you seen to give you hope that there is? To say that there are better times.
That we have to see next season. I think we are again we are improving as a team. Sometimes the results don't show that, but we are improving. Again, in the final, I think we was not a great game. But if you ask anyone who's the better team in that game, was us. That is clear. Today we did a good game against a team that with 1 point could be in Champions League. So I think we are improving, and then we are changing so many things in Carrington. And there are so many things important in this club that the results don't show. You cannot see it, but they will be really important in the future.
Sam.
Hi, Ruben. Congratulations on today. When you've talked about the need for change a lot since you've come in and areas of weakness and things like that. 3 years ago, Ralph Rangnick said the club needed open heart surgery. Do you still think it's as drastic as that, or is it just, I don't know?
No, I think we did a lot of changes as a club in this maybe 6 months, and we changed maybe so many things that a normal club could do it in 3 years. A lot of people leaving. And in the day by day, the way we behave, who is in charge in Carrington, who decides things, I think we are changing that. That is really important. If you look at in the past, I think that was a characteristic of this club, that the culture was, the standards were really high.
Does the squad need changing a lot?
It's hard to talk about that because we have the fair play rules, and we are limited, especially this year. So we need to be patient. Of course, are going to have changes. You saw 3 players today are leaving, and they are characters that we need that kind of characters here. But then we have to see the characteristics of the player to try to play in the different way. So we are doing that, but we have to be patient because we have the limitation of fair play rules.
James.
Ruben, you mentioned those 3 that are leaving. Garnacho was not in the squad as well today, and there's indications that you told him that he could find a new club this summer. Can you clarify what the situation is with him, and also just explain Onana's absence?
Onana was just for Altai to have this experience, and sometimes the goalkeepers nowadays they need space to play, also to feel important, because we need 2, 3 goalkeepers ready to play especially when you have a lot of competition. And then Garnacho is a Manchester United player that is not in the squad today, but is a normal player in our club, and I have no news that will change today.
Steve.
Ruben, so is Garnacho possibly play this last game for the club? I know you say that you could go play the post-season friendlies. Would you have him at the club for next season?
Sorry.
Garnacho, would you have him at the club for next season?
Garnacho is one more player of Manchester United, so I don't know what is going to happen in the future, but he's a normal player.
Yeah.
Ruben, are you ready for a break, or are you looking forward to start tomorrow, all these changes that you have to apply and all these decisions?
No, I'm really excited to finish the season. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I'm really excited to start again. So we cannot lose any time. We need to prepare the pre-season. We will have this pre-season. If you look in the next years, we'll have World Cup. So we will not have time to take advantage of that. We have to make some changes in our squad. And we have a lot to do, so I'm really excited in this moment.
Last question, Dave.
You just said that you're looking forward to the break. Obviously, you've got the post-season tour now, but can you understand why when next season starts, you'll be under huge pressure from the word go because of this season, how disastrous, as you said, this season's been. Can you accept and understand that pressure will be on you and the players from the very first game?
Yeah, that is normal. That is a risk when I start 6 months ago, and if you start now, we can have a pre-season, prepare the future, and then that season will be the first season. People will look at me as not just the first season. I have to deliver next year. I think we are going. I'm really confident that we are going to play better, to have more results, but it's going to take time. So we know that we will have to suffer again, but of course we have we need to have better results. That's for sure.
We will see what happens. Manchester United have had, well, arguably the worst season than Spurs, despite finishing higher because there was no trophy for Ruben Amorim's side. Interesting to hear what he had to say after the game, beaten Villa by 2-0, finishing 15th in the table. And he did speak to the fans after the game. And he said, after this disaster season, I want to tell you, the good days are coming. If there is one club that has proven in the past they can overcome any situation, any disaster, it is our club. It is Manchester United.
Well,
are you inspired by those words?
Oh, I'm not sure about inspired, but it can't be any worse next year, can they? You know, they can't be any worse. They'll have to improve. There are obviously a few players' contracts up who leave. We go back to recruitment. They certainly need to get players in who know, I think, the Premier League. I think the majority of signings over the last 2 or 3 years are players who've never played in the Premier League, and they've struggled to adapt it, particularly when they brought so many players in. So I think they have to go back to basics and get some really good, proper, experienced players who know the Premier League and who are men and who are robust, who can turn up week in, week out and do a good job for Man United. I don't necessarily mean challenge for obviously league titles, but get Man United back up the table and competing,
what do you mean
competing every week.
Sorry, Roy, what do you mean by men? Because Chelsea have qualified for the Champions League with one of the youngest teams we've ever seen in the Premier League, average age of 24.
Yeah. What's your point?
So when you're saying men, are you talking about age and experience? What do you mean by that?
People who know the Premier League. I think when you bring so many players in from obviously from abroad who've not played the Premier League, I think it's a challenge. And I give Chelsea credit. They've rolled their sleeves up, and they were heavily criticised at the start of the season. But they've got players still in their group who've played in the Premier League. They might be still young and inexperienced in terms of being around for 10 years, but they know the Premier League. Man United, I think, have brought too many players in who don't know the league and who don't know how to turn up week in, week out. The one thing you want as a footballer or as a team you're playing with, you want people to kind of compliment you by saying you're hard to play against or you're hard to beat. United are easy to play against and they're easy to beat. To me, that's the biggest insult on this United group at the moment. And I'm just talking about getting Man United competing week in, week out, wherever that might take them. This group of players have shown this year with the amount of games they've lost, and last year, I'm talking about league, they're not up to it. That's not going to change overnight. Whatever about the manager and the systems and having more time to work with the players, they need certain players to come in who know the league, and again, who are men, I played with men, lads who knew the league. So you could have good young players, of course, but you need to look at lads, particularly the spine of your team, and going, they'll turn up every week. They mightn't win every week, but they'll turn up and they'll be hard to beat. And United have to start competing. It's just...
He inferred, Jamie, as well, when he was talking to the fans, that he told everyone this storm was coming. He expected this because he almost could foresee the short-term pain this club needed to go through to make progress. Might they actually look back at this as the turning point in the Manchester United recent story? They have fewer games next season. There's obviously going to be an overhaul of the playing staff as well.
The problem is there's been a lot of turning points. You're always looking for something, but
perhaps previously they were looking for a short-term fix.
Yeah, short-term fix. Bringing
when now they're not.
I totally get
they've said,
that.
we'll take the pain.
And you've got to be aligned. I think that's the most important thing. They've got, Jason Wilcox. They've got a new CEO as well. Jason is undoubtedly knows the game. He understands what the success at Manchester City and what it takes. But it's going to take time. You can't look at that squad. I think what it tells you everything. When you look and go through that squad and think to yourself, how many of them would you not sell this summer? I think apart from Lenny Yoro, and it's purely because he hasn't been there that long and he's a young player, I think every single United player will be up for sale.
Sell Bruno?
I would right now, yeah. I would. And I'm a big fan. I know, I think he's a game changer, but I think if the right money came about and you could then invest into the squad, and I think he is a good player. I think he's a top footballer. He was poor in midweek, but he has been their leading light this year. But if the right money were to come available and you could improve your squad, I would certainly take the right money.
I'm intrigued when I hear a manager say we're going to have less games, as if as if that guarantees success. Part of playing for a big club is more games.
Well, he hasn't said that. They were my words.
Right, okay, but I've heard that from other managers before, and he said it before himself. I've got a free week with the players I can work on, and then they don't back it up with a result, as if having a free week is always good for a football club. You want to be busy. You want to be playing football matches. That's where you learn. That's where you get your experiences. As if he's going to produce a magic wand to turn some of these players into top players because he's got a free week. That's bizarre in itself.
You can't. One thing I think we'll both agree on, Roy, they cannot get any lower than this. Surely, this is the. It feels like something has to happen next season.
Mid-table next year.
Yeah. But if you look at what Forest have done this year, I mean, surely with United's squad, and if they invest right and bring in some good players and get the recruitment right.
The way you look at it, if you look at this United group of players, they still should be doing, as bad as they are, they still should be doing better.
Absolutely.
There's more in that squad to certainly get higher up the table.
Let's have a look at the final Premier League table in this 24-25 season then. Liverpool champion, 4 points. But that was 10 more than the next best. Arsenal, runners-up for 3 successive seasons for the second time in the Premier League. The last time they did that, they won the double the following season. We will see. Manchester City qualifying for Europe for a 15th successive season, but it's quite a drop-off for last season's champions and champions of the last 4 seasons to finish with as few as 71 points. Chelsea back into the Champions League after a 2-year absence. Newcastle back in after 1 season absence, winning the Carabao Cup as well. It is the Europa League for Aston Villa this season, who miss out in the end only on goal difference. Nottingham Forest only miss out by 1 point and a bit of goal difference as well. They will be in the Conference League. Brighton in 8th will miss out on Europe. And Fabian Hürzeler's first season in the Premier League. Bournemouth into 9th. This is their second top 10 finish. And for Brentford as well, a second top 10 finish on 56 points. And the bottom half looks like this. Got some high numbers in the bottom half this season. Fulham on 54, a record for them. Palace finishing on 53. They'll be in the Europa League, of course, after winning the FA Cup. Everton finish on 48 points. Can look forward to a new season in a brand new stadium at Bramley Moor. West Ham United have some work to do this summer under Graham Potter. They finish in 14th. Manchester United equal their worst ever it is their worst ever in 15th. By some way, their worst ever in the Premier League. Wolves finish respectably in the end with 42 points, 17 clear of the drop. And Spurs, the 9th team in Europe next season, the Europa League winners will be playing in the Champions League despite finishing with 38 points and 22 defeats. Story at Old Trafford today where Aston Villa needed something to get themselves into the Champions League places, and with a score at 0-0, they were denied what they felt was a legitimate goal. And this is how Mike Dean saw it, watching on in the studio across the way here on A Soccer Special.
I used to. No, you can't cop out with that. He's gone to get the ball to keep. It's hit one hand and then it's come out of his own accord. He's done that himself. The ball is free and the attacker's got every right to go for the ball. He hasn't got the ball under control. I think the referee, Tom Bramble, thinks he has, but for me, he hasn't. So for me, a goal should be given.
If that was in rugby league as a try, it wouldn't be a try. Yeah.
The only thing
he never had it under control.
The only thing I would say is because I haven't got comms on here, and I think you have. Yeah. Did the whistle go before the ball at the back of the net, which it did?
Yeah, it did. The whistle went before.
So it won't be a goal.
It won't be a goal. Yeah, the whistle went before it hit the back of the net. So.
And that's what happened. VAR said it wasn't reviewable because the referee, Thomas Bramall, had blown the whistle before the ball had crossed the line. So the goal didn't stand. And there are reports tonight that Aston Villa intend to complain about the experience of the referee in charge at Old Trafford this afternoon, Thomas Bramall. It's his 11th Premier League game of the season, his 30th overall. Can you understand, Roy, why Aston Villa are so angry by a decision which might well have cost them a place in the Champions League? Because 3 minutes later, after that incident, United actually took the lead.
Yeah, but obviously it was a big moment. If Aston Villa go 1-0 up, you're thinking obviously they'll have enough for them to get a result, even though they're down to 10 men. We talk about VAR or whatever, but human error has come into it. This is part of football, and you feel for the official, because if he just lets it run and hits the back of the net, then we could all clearly see it wasn't a foul. So a huge moment for Aston Villa. You saw the manager's reaction. They'll be suffering for that. but it's part of the game in terms of human error. We're hoping VAR would cut all that stuff out, but he's blown his whistle too early.
Because in the end, a draw would have been enough to see Aston Villa qualify for the Champions League. You can reflect on that potential mistake by Thomas Bramall. You could say that they would have had 11 players on the field had Matthew Cash not put more on the back pass and Amy Martinez had not collided with Rasmus Højlund and got sent off in the first half.
If, buts and maybes. And it is a mistake. It's a big mistake, but an honest one. I think you will say that. What I will say is inexperience probably plays a little bit of a part, because if you just let it breathe, if you just wait, give it 10 seconds, just see what happens. We have got the luxury of VAR now, and it's obviously costly. And if you're Aston Villa, the fans, the club, the players, you're devastated right now because you want to be playing Champions League football after what was such a good season for them. But what can you do? That was an honest mistake. We see it all the time. It's not a malicious one, but it's certainly a monumental one in their season.
Head to the Sky Sports app for all the highlights. Remember, you can see the nuts and bolts of that big decision that we're talking about.
Pues es una ausencia importante, porque no ya es uno de los jugadores que siempre suele comenzar los partidos en esa escalera. Y vamos a ver hasta qué punto lo siente y lo nota el Barrio, que ha sido un equipo un poco de extremos durante los propios partidos, ¿no? Muchas veces ha empezado mal, luego ha mejorado en el segundo tiempo. Hoy el Barrio tiene que salir con mucha más concentración desde el primer instante, porque esto es un partido de playoff y delante tienen un equipo con mucha calidad como es los Troncos.
Atento está para el cierre, Gil Vidal, segundo palo, Carlas al palo. ¡Yo, Adri! ¡Gol! ¡Gol del Barrio de Adri de Contreras! El penalti presi. Mira, y Adri Contreras haciendo de la suya. Se queda en el campo y dice... Ian disparó. ¡Oh! ¡Sácala a llenar! ¡Gol! Verdú, también Edgar Álvaro. Verdú la deja para Edgar. Rompe la barrera. ¡Oh! ¡Gol, gol, gol! ¡Gol! ¡Tenemos suerte! ¡Gol! Todo tuyo. Ahí está Marmartra, que lanza un bueno. Jugador estrella.
¿A quién ponemos?
¿Será doble jugador estrella?
Sí, si quieres. ¿Penalti?
Pues
Vale,
quiere penalti, no quiere quitarle el jugador. ¡Gol de los Troncos! ¡No falla Verdú! ¡Viene Arché! ¡Manu Martín! Al lado de la pelota. A ver, aquí va directo a la pelota. ¡Gol! ¡Perchita! ¡Gol para los Troncos! Se fue por la clásica, por la segura. Chita, Sorroche con el centro. La bajó muy bien Litus, pasa atrás. Edgar. Buen pro en el área. Paufer con el cuero al segundo palo. La tapó. Perdió la Tina Che. Se va con toda Carraflana. Rebote para allí. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! ¡Del Barrio!
Ian González, habéis repetido la suerte de las chicas y estáis en semi. Enhorabuena.
Pues nada, muy contentos. Parece que ya empezamos a salir del pozo en el que nos metimos en Liga después de esas 4 derrotas seguidas. Y nada, a Madrid seguro.
Os enfrentáis, al igual que las chicas, a Ultimate Móstoles, guerra de clubes, parece.
Sí, esperamos a ver si podemos ganarles ya, que desde que salí de allí de Móstoles no le ganó ningún partido. Así que nada, DJ, voy a por ti.
O sea que celebración de gol si marcas, a lo loco, todo, ¿no?
Tanto no, pero ojalá le meta uno.
Bueno, enhorabuena, a disfrutarlo.
Muchas gracias.